welcome to the second episode in a double bill of the new podcast and video series from the Migrant and Minority Ethnic Council. We've released this special double bill to mark Black History Month 2020, and that gives us the theme of the conversations: the importance of highlighting Black history, the significance of the month itself, and the need for education at all levels on the issues that it raises. In this second programme, I'm joined by Dr. Livingstone Thompson of the African and Caribbean Support Organisation of Northern Ireland, ACSONI. But before we meet him, don't forget to follow us on social media at MME Council and visit our website mmecouncil.org, where you can find links to the first episode in the series and even subscribe to our news bulletin. So now let's go straight over to the conversation. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you're well. Good to see you, even if it's online in the present circumstances. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your organisation, ACSONI.
Well, thank you, Maurice. Thank you for having me. Let me first of all speak about ACSONI. Probably that's the more interesting of the two options that you've given me. ACSONI is about 2003 that ACSONI was started, and ACSONI is just one of those initiatives designed to foster or to engender a kind of a sense of community, but also one that aims to support African and Caribbean migrants as they look to integrate into the Northern Ireland society. One of the challenges that migrants face, whatever level whatever is the reason for making their way into the community, it's a question for network. How do you build network? How do you ensure that there is a space where you can find or you can encounter people whom you do not have to preoccupy yourself with introducing yourself, because the conversation is natural, and it has to do with more with how to take advantage of the opportunities and to optimize the opportunity of being present in the state. So that's what ACSONI does. So whether it is in the area of the arts, or whether it's in the area of advocacy, or whether it's in the area of community building, whether it's in the area of creating that interface for conversation and intercultural training or anti-racism training. These are some of the things which the organization is involved in. It is a very important point of reference for resource both for the community, new migrants, as information is given about how to access services, and also a place of resource for the host community in terms of developing understanding about who the migrants are, the places from which they have come, and how it may be for the host community to if you like to navigate the plural community from which they come, for understanding as well. So that's ACSONI. In terms of myself, I lived for many years in the Republic of Ireland, and so I come to Northern Ireland I would have come to Northern Ireland about 5 years ago, and that allowed me to get a good feel for what it is to live on the island of Ireland. I taught for many years in universities in the Republic of Ireland, and I now have a responsibility here in Northern Ireland for two religious communities, which I support. And from the point of view of ACSONI, I'm currently serving as chair of the organization. Organization needs to strengthen its work in many areas, so I'm trying to offer my own support in that way.
Very good. And I wonder, does ACSONI have some events coming up to mark Black History Month? Where sort of the theme we were talking about is why we're making this podcast. So I guess ACSONI probably has. if you
Yes, we towards the end of the month, we are hoping to have three main presentations toward the end of the month. We're going to be having Esther Stanford. Esther Stanford is a specialist in the area of reparation and understanding the African Holocaust. That is to say, the pressure that was brought to bear on African communities as they were basically raped for people who then were enslaved, and understanding what that meant for the communities. So she's a specialist in this area, and she will be speaking to us on the 27th about the African Holocaust, as well as what it means to repair the damage of the centuries. The second speaker we hope to have is Guy Hewitt. Guy Hewitt is a former ambassador or High Commissioner of Barbados to the United Kingdom, and was at the forefront of the interface with the British government in the matter of the Windrush scandal. And so he will be speaking about why the Windrush scandal was a scandal. I think much of what he knows really is what happened in that interface with the government, some of which had not been in the news. So he will speak to us on the 28th. And then on the 29th, we hope to have the artist Akela, and he will speak about police protest and progress, and he will speak at 1:30 on the 29th. So those are the three main presentations. We're hoping actually to have, and this is just being confirmed as we're speaking, we're hoping to have in the middle of the month, maybe around about the 16th or so, we're hoping to have a specialist, a musician from the United States who is a jazz musician, but who will speak about the role of music in the African community, so to speak, going back from the time of slavery to the present time, what role music has played both in social unrest and religious circles as well. So those are the things we hope to have, and this information about these will go out in the coming days.
That's a fantastic sounding lineup. Good stuff. Count me in. So that sounds great. So obviously from that, and you did talk a little bit about the idea of history there and the African Holocaust. Clearly, Black History Month is you would think is still vitally necessary. We haven't reached the stage where we don't really need to do this anymore. In fact, it's probably really only getting going. Would that be your assessment? Or?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question you ask, Maurice, not least because even within the African community, there are differences of opinion about the need to observe a Black History Month. And I think that need to be set up front. And part of the reason why many African and outstanding African people of African descent would even question the need for it is because of how it is tended to be narrated. Some people, so for example, in response to this question, one individual, white person who is a supporter of the idea of Black History Month was asked, so what about White History Month? And the individual says, well, the other 11 months are White History Month. And that is precisely the reason why it becomes difficult to talk about it when you have that narrative. 1 month for Black history, 11 months for white history. That is completely misunderstanding what is it really about. But the way in which I approach it is this. We live in a world with biases relating to history, biases relating to power, biases relating to opportunities. And one of the things which it is important for us to do is to pause and check our biases. And what the opportunity of Black History Month, what Black History Month does, it provides us an opportunity to check the biases that are operated within the social space. And the biases is related, first of all, to the way in which we have told the stories about people, and specifically the stories about Black people, the things that are emphasized and the perspective from which they're emphasized. So I value the opportunity to talk about Black History Month, not so much because of the need to set it over against white history, but simply to recognize the fact that we have biases and we need to check our biases. So there's a sense in which we need to focus, we need to learn from others, we need to check our biases, and that for me is a critical thing. There was other reason why Black History Month, I believe, is important. It's because there is a continuing narrative of resistance to oppression, which has been a part of the Black reality. The subjugation of people of African descent really had its main genesis, its critical starting point during the period of enslavement, and it became part of the it became written into the economy of states. It became written into the psychology of individuals, became written into the politics, it became written into the education system, it became written into the social space, where the reality or the things which led to the subjugation, and hence the economic benefit of the subjugation of one group of people by another group of people, created the need for resistance. And that resistance has taken the form in today's world as a resistance against institutional racism. So what is important to understand then, there's a history of power difference. And that power difference is one in which individuals are earning their well-being, they're earning money from that power difference. And that power difference is what really needs to be rebalanced. And that for me is important as a part of what it means to observe Black history.
That's fascinating and insightful. I think the speakers that you have coming as part of the History Month will probably address some of those issues too. What happens beyond this then? What happens beyond Black History Month? What have you got any something of a program for ACSONI, say over the next year, or how would you see the future evolving?
Yes, in a way, the work of ACSONI continues. Much of the same things that come to the public notice much more in Black History Month are some of the same things that go on in terms of the ACSONI program. One of the things that we're hoping that we'll be able to do, certainly impacted as it is now by the COVID-19 crisis, but we hopefully 2021 will give us a better opportunity to do that, is to create a better awareness within the community and certainly with the education system of some of the realities of which Northern Ireland in particular, but certainly the UK in general, has been a part. We believe it is important that the Northern Ireland society, first of all, engages issues relating to how information, knowledge, perspective relating to people of African descent, how it is narrated in the curriculum of schools. So the engagement we have will be with the Education Authority to look at the issue of education curriculum. The second thing that we're hoping will happen is raising the awareness of raising the specter of racism as it continues as a reality within the society. One of the things we want to champion is what we call a racism-free Northern Ireland Charter. And what we mean by this is to challenge organizations and educational institutions to actually sign up to an anti-racism future. That is to say, we want to challenge the society to lock themselves into an anti-racism mindset. Sign to say you are committing yourself to an anti-racism future, and allow yourselves, your organization, in terms of the organizational practices, to be checked on an ongoing basis. Am I living up to the things that I sign up to in terms of my anti-racism posture? And if after 5 years of signing up, an organization cannot demonstrate in its policies and its practices that it is continuing to maintain that anti-racism posture, then I believe the question should be raised, why should they be allowed to be in the state at all, continuing to operate, if they cannot demonstrably show that they are part of an anti-racism mindset? So a racism-free Northern Ireland Charter is one in which educational institutions and all kinds of community organizations will have the moment to commit publicly and be checked. I say I am anti-racist. This is what I mean when I say I'm anti-racist. You can come back and check me if I'm maintaining my anti-racism posture.
Very good. And I guess the important phrase there is anti-racism, not just not being racist. It's not enough simply not to be racist. You have to actively be anti-racist. I guess
That's exactly it, Maurice. So it is. One cannot be neutral when it comes to this question. You have to oppose. You cannot say you're not supporting it. You just have to oppose it, and you have to demonstrate the opposition to it. Yes.
That sounds like a fascinating program, and I hope you get plenty of take up, and not only take up, but also seeing it throughout the 5 years and beyond. Yep, that sounds like a useful way to help to try to transform Northern Ireland into a more equitable, diverse and inclusive society.
Naturally, and of course the whole matters which pertain to the racial inequality strategy for the executive as part of the program of government. We believe that these things, this is important, that the program of government is made to show that it wants to take root, take life in community, that there is a serious intent to bring about the racial equality that it aspires for.
Well, I think that, that again, I suppose that's part of the follow-up will be to put pressure on the policymakers and help to raise their awareness of these issues and make sure that they know someone's watching and someone will keep holding them to account. So
Exactly.
Great stuff. Well, I hope we at the MME COUNCL will be able to help you in that task. So Dr. Livingstone Thompson, thank you very much for joining us.
Not at all, Maurice. We appreciate the opportunity, and certainly the work of the Minority Ethnic Council. We commend your work.
Thank you very much.